Starting us off at number 10 is that Wheezy is actually evil. Remember that cute little squishy penguin toy named Wheezy from Toy Story 2? Well, there's a theory out there that he is actually the bad guy of the movie and not Al from Al's Toy Barn. Wheezy was one of Andy's favorite toys once upon a time, but eventually was forgotten about and left on a shelf to get covered in dust and lose his squeaker. While Woody and Buzz's rivalry first started in the first movie because Andy forgot about Woody while he was playing with Buzz. That made Woody get jealous. Obviously Woody ended up overcoming that jealousy, but maybe Wheezy didn't. Maybe his jealousy actually fueled a plan to make Woody be at the yard sale and get snatched up by some toy collector, with Wheezy making it back in the house himself and no longer having Woody for competition. This theory really hurts me because I remember feeling so sorry for Wheezy when I watched Toy Story 2 for the first time. I still remember seeing it in theaters, and he was so lovable and he was just so hurt that you just fell for him. But now I'm gonna need to watch Toy Story 2 again. Coming in at number 9 is Toy Story Illuminati. That's right, there are many people online all around the world that say Toy Story 3 is one huge reference to the famous conspiracy group known as the Illuminati. How does this make sense? Well, many believe that Lotso, the film's antagonist, brainwashed Buzz Lightyear by resetting Buzz from play to demo mode. One of the other big pieces of evidence that supports this theory is a line of dialogue that is spoken by the Ken doll. He says, "He made us into a pyramid and put himself on top." It's a bit of a weird line to have in a scene, and many connected back to the Illuminati symbol of the triangle with the eye in the center of it. So does Toy Story 3 allude to the Illuminati? You tell me down in the comments, because I don't think I can watch this one again after that heartbreaking ending. If you haven't seen it yet, be careful. That one hit way too hard the first time around, and I don't think I'm not ready to relive it yet. Coming in at number 8 is Woody and Mr. Andy. Now, who is Mr. Andy? Well, I'm referring to Andy's missing father in the films. Many believe that since Woody is an old toy from an old TV show in the 50s known as Woody's Roundup, that maybe this toy was given to Andy by his father, and maybe his father has since passed away, meaning that Woody is not just a fun toy, but also a sentimental and special possession of Andy's father. Man oh man, did that one get really sad just really quick. But you know what? I got beef with this theory because in the movies you can see Andy with bed sheets and tons of posters and stuff in his room that have Woody plastered all over them. Would a TV show from the 50s still be making all of that merchandise in the mid-90s? I don't really think so. Or is it his father's? Maybe? I don't know, but I mean, I can't see him giving Andy literally everything that has Woody on it and letting him still use it. Because I mean, that's going to be some valuable stuff. And that stuff has got to be rare. And lastly, would they have made character bed sheets back in the 50s that look as good as what they do in the film? I don't know. I'm not really sold on this one, but let me know what you think. Coming in at number 7 is Jessie and Mrs. Andy. Now, who is Mrs. Andy? Well, this time I'm referring to Andy's mom. There is a theory out there that cowgirl Jessie is actually Andy's mom's old toy. Where's the proof? Well, we all know that Jessie's former owner name was Emily, and Andy's mom's name is never specified in any of the films. But in one of the flashbacks through the films, Emily can be seen wearing a Jessie cowgirl hat. Just like the hat that Andy is seen wearing in the movies, as it looks a lot more like Jessie's hat than it does Woody's. So does that make the Toy Story 3 ending even sadder? With not just Andy saying goodbye to his childhood playmates, but also Andy's mom saying a final goodbye to her toy in that special time in her life? My God. What am I doing to myself here? Coming in at number 6, we have Woody equals Lotso. That's right, without Andy, many think Woody could have ended just up as antagonistic and evil as Lotso. No, not Woody! Easy, let me explain. Lotso, the big pink stuffed bear, handled his leadership at Sunnyside Daycare much like a dictator. He sucked. Lotso was accidentally abandoned in his owner's old home, and when he finally got to see her again, he found out that she had a new favorite toy and that he had already been forgotten. His little pink stuffed heart was then shattered and then led him to being the bad guy in Toy Story 3. Now, if Woody didn't have Andy for his owner, many believe that Woody could have become just like Lotso. Woody's story in the first movie begins with his jealousy towards Buzz, but Woody changes his mindset because he didn't want to lose Andy the way that Lotso lost his owner. So, Woody could have been just as evil as of a character as Lotso in another rendition of the story, but he didn't. Or maybe the story hasn't ended. Coming in at our halfway point is poor Sid. There's a theory out there that Sid wasn't actually a bad kid at all. Maybe he was just a product of a poor home life. One reason is that back in the 90s, it wasn't as easy to just buy whatever you wanted online. So some think that the possibly life-threatening rocket toy that is meant for much older kids was mailed to him after his parents ordered it and didn't care that he was too young or nor that he was left alone with this dangerous rocket. There's also a scene in the movie that shows Sid's dad passed out in front of the TV with cola cans strewn all over the floor. But maybe those cola cans were actually wobbly pops and not just normal pops, if you catch my drift. So maybe Sid began experimenting and building and taking apart toys and acting out because this was just a desperate call for attention and love that he never got from his parents. Who knows? And to be honest, I think there are extremely rare cases of bad kids. Something always sparks bad behavior, but hey, I never met Sid personally, so you be the judge, maybe he is a bad guy. Coming in at number 4, we have Sid is a garbage man, and this is where I'm gonna say that he's not a bad guy now, because in a scene in Toy Story 3, we can see a garbage man pick up a load of garbage all the while he is rocking out to some awesome tunes. But if you look closely, you will see that this garbage man is wearing the same t-shirt that Sid wore as a kid. But this guy seems happy and in good spirits, so how is this Sid? Well, many people think that Sid changed his ways after learning that toys could talk. And the reason he became a garbage man was that so he could save all of the forgotten toys out there so they don't get incinerated at the city dump. Or he can even fix them by making some weird mishmash toy combos like the baby head with spider leg or the fishing pole with the legs. You know, maybe he just wanted to give some love to some toys that weren't necessarily going to get it anymore. So Sid is a garbage man for now, because this next theory actually gets much darker. Starting us off in our top 3, at number 3 we have that Sid is actually dead. Whoa. Okay, that escalated quickly. I mean, one minute he's a garbage guy, next minute he's no longer with us. If you watch Pixar's 2017 movie Coco, there is a scene with the skeleton on stage that has the exact same t-shirt as Sid from Toy Story. Toy Story 3 came out in 2010, so that means Sid worked as a garbage man until his untimely death that led him to be a rocker in the afterlife, in Coco. Maybe, I mean, Coco does take place in Mexico and Toy Story is definitely not set in Mexico, so maybe it's just a small Easter egg, but if Sid is indeed the rocker skeleton, then what happened? Coming in at number 2, we have Immortality, the exact opposite of our number 3 spot. Many people believe that the toys in the Pixar universe are actually immortal. Since these toys are not actually organic living beings, many believe that these toys could in fact live forever and that the only way to meet their demise is if they are melted down. Which, when you think about it, actually makes that scene in the first Toy Story with Sid burning Woody through the forehead even scarier. That's one way Woody would actually meet his demise, so yikes. The other proof is that Woody, Jessie, and Bullseye are all toys from the 50s and they just keep being passed on to new owners and never really seem to age. Especially with Rex's cameo in WALL-E. Maybe this means that he is actually aware that humans are gone and now it's just robots. Oh, yikes. No, for that reason alone, I would never want to be immortal. And finally, coming in at our number 1 spot is one of the darkest theories out there. It's that Toy Story 3 is actually an allegory to the horrific and disgusting events of World War II. One possible piece of evidence that supports this theory is that when Buzz suggests that the toys hide out in the attic to avoid being donated is a reference to Anne Frank and the events that she talks about in her diary, how they hid away from all the evil people. They also believe that the toys that were sent off to Sunnyside Daycare was also an analogy to people being sent away to the disgustingly horrific camps run by the followers of This is about as dark as they come here, folks, and I for one can see the similarities, but I don't know if this is intentional. I think the events of World War are just so sad and horrific that they are so well known that many things can be alluded to being inspired by them. Or maybe many stories and events are secretly inspired by them and are self-conscious without us even fully realizing it. Either way, this one is crazy dark and probably ruined your childhood just a bit, so I'm sorry.
Number 9. Servant versus the master. This is a talked about theory that suggests that the toys in the movie are starting to rebel against the humans, as we saw in the 4th installment of the Toy Story franchise. We saw many toys, including Woody, not wanting a child, a master if you want to call it that. The toys are not feeling the need to serve as dummies anymore. They are evolving independently. It's just a matter of time where the toys will start attacking the humans for freedom, and maybe the roles will be reversed. Moving into number 7, remember that Gabby character we talked about? Well, some are calling her one of Pixar's best villains. She might look very innocent on the outside, but I assure you something evil is within. She was able to manipulate other toys into destroying destroying other toys. One of the big plot of the film was for Gabby, who was manufactured with a broken voice box, to get another toy's voice box, and that's where Woody came in. Gabby managed to kidnap Forky and Woody and was able to rip out Woody's voice box so she can have it. Number 6, Bo Peep might actually be the true villain in the movie and no one even knew about it. Bo Peep has actually been absent in the series since the 1999 Toy Story 2 film, so this was the time to bring her back to the big screen, and there was speculation that she would actually return as a villain and a rival to Woody. There were moments in the film like it felt like she could turn evil at any time and become the arch nemesis to Woody, and this plot could set up the next film as well. It would be so easy for Bo Peep to become evil because she's an unwanted broken toy with no motivation to help the world or other children out. She would be fueled by anger and want revenge on the new wanted toys, or even the children for not loving her. In Toy Story 4, it seemed like Bo Peep could have been responsible for some pretty awful things. Some suggest that she stole the voice box from Gabby, and Gabby is now terrified of Bo Peep and what she's capable of. Also, another theory suggests that she kidnaps all the toys that are unwanted and have them work for her. Moving right along into number 5, Woody and the rest of the toys are like vampires who drain children of their joy. So just when we all believed that these toys were helping the children, they were just manipulating them. And maybe that's why Sid was so mean to the toys, because he knows the truth. Sid was trying to destroy all the toys starting from the very first Toy Story movie. Number 2, there may not be another Toy Story movie, and this is pretty scary to me. A lot of people are saying that they shouldn't do another one, and I think this is terrifying to me because I enjoy all of these movies and I want it to continue on and on and on. But I'll probably be like 40 years old before the next one actually comes out. And it's sad to know that Pixar might be ending like this with Toy Story 4 and how it ended. Toy Story did hit records at the box office, which is why I'm actually pretty hopeful that there's gonna be another movie. It's just gonna be 10 years from now. But what did you guys think? You guys who did watch the movie, did you like it? Did you hate it? Or did you not even care about it? Finally, number 1, the children in the movie were actually evil, and they are very powerful. Powerful enough to bring toys to life. The only way a toy can come back to life is from the imagination from the children. The children believe that these toys are alive. Well, if they think that they're alive, why do they constantly try to destroy them and just rip them apart? These kids seem to get the enjoyment of torturing these harmless toys. I know we've been thinking about how many toys were able to come back to life, but let's think about how many toys died because the children killed them. I mean, that's pretty dark. This has actually been seen throughout all of the Toy Story movies. Also, if kids can bring to life these toys, what else can they bring back to life? Children in Toy Story can actually become a threat to society, and the toys in the movie are the ones trying to help the kids with their negative thoughts, because they want them to stop destroying the other toys.
Starting off at number 10 now, we have Same Faces. At the end of 2017, The Mirror posted an interesting theory about the original Toy Story movie. Have you guys ever noticed how similar the faces look in that movie? Now when I say that, you may think I mean the toys' faces, right? I mean, they're all basically plastic toys. In real life, plastic toys all kind of have that similar vacant expression, a bit dead behind the eyes. However, this story pointed out that the toys actually had quite different looking faces. It was the children that looked creepily similar in the original Toy Story movie. Early on in that movie, we see Andy playing with his toys. Later on, we see Andy's friends attending his birthday party, and they look very similar to Andy. Like, almost identical. They also look just like Andy's neighbor Sid, the boy who likes to torture toys. What's going on here? Why does every kid in this movie have the same face? Some people say this is just a product of animation at the time. Although Pixar's animation still holds up almost 25 years on, they were still limited by what they could do. Perhaps that is the reason. Others say that this isn't true because they managed to make the toys look all so unique. Some say that the humans in the movie are actually the toys, and that what we think of the toys are really the living people, if you can get your head around that. That would also explain why they're able to move and talk, but it also produces a whole bunch of other questions. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Evil Woody. This is a theory posted by Reddit user Itchy Rabbit. They suggested that Woody is not so different from Lotso the evil bear in Toy Story 3. The only real difference is that Woody had a kid, Andy. This is the only thing that saved him from being as evil as Lotso. If Andy had bought a new Woody toy in the first movie, then Woody would have turned out just like Lotso, hurt, bitter, angry, and wanting revenge on the world. Both Woody and Lotso are leaders, and they go through a lot to try and get back to their respective kids. For those people who see Woody as a perfect being, Itchy Rabbit points to Woody's darker side in the first movie when he started to feel like he was being replaced by Buzz Lightyear. Luckily, everything turned out alright there, but perhaps in a parallel universe there may be a Toy Story where Woody is the evil toy that needs to be overthrown. Moving on to number 8 now, we have Creepy Woody. This is a true story. Woody was initially going to be a ventriloquist dummy. That was the idea the team came up with. Then it was suggested that instead of a ventriloquist doll, they turn Woody into a cowboy. Everybody loves cowboys, right? Well, luckily, they did go with that, obviously. I think every Toy Story fan can agree that a creepy ventriloquist doll Woody would have been quite a disturbing sight to see. I don't even want to think about that. Next up at number 7 now, we have toy amnesia. That's what I'm calling this theory, posted to Reddit by user Tommy M. Walker. Now, he suggested that the toys in Toy Story will never remember Andy again. He says that the toys have personalities and memories that are imprinted on them, and once they have a new owner, their former memories are wiped away. This would be scary if true, especially for the 4th movie. As proof, he puts forward Toy Story 2. Jessie's last owner, Emily, loved her for a very long time, grew up, and then donated her. Eventually, she was found by Al, who put her in storage where she completely forgot about her former life and only remembered when Woody arrived on the scene. If this is true, then do toys have memories wiped when they get new owners? We saw Toy Story 3 end with Andy handing over his toys to a new kid. Does this mean the toys will now forget Andy? That's quite a disturbing thought for every Toy Story fan. Coming out number 6 now, we have the war. This is another Reddit theory put forward by user Space Communist. He said that the first 2 movies are set during the space race of the 1960s, hence the old technology and obsession with toys like Buzz Lightyear going off into space. Then though, about 10 years passed and we're suddenly in Toy Story 3 where there's now laptops, online gaming and modern cars. It's a huge leap. It looks just like the past decade has been in real life. Where did all this technology come from? Well, this guy thinks a world war took place over the course of the movies. The technology advanced so rapidly during the war that it explains the leap we see between the movies. Further proof, he points to the maps we see. They seem to show the world map as very different to ours. Countries aren't the same, borders are just all over the place, almost as if a massive war took place. It is a crazy theory, but then again, we are talking about a world in which toys can talk, so I guess anything is possible. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Buzz Lightyear dies. So we talked at the start of the video about the possibility of Woody dying in Toy Story 4. Well, I'm afraid this sort of morbid speculation is not over. Some people think it's Buzz Lightyear that's going to get the chop, so to speak. This is mainly based on what Tim Allen, who voices Buzz, said in an interview on The Talk. He said, "I gotta resist getting emotional. I don't want to give it away, but this is an incredibly great story. It is so emotional, it's so funny, it's so big. The idea they come up with, I am startled. I couldn't even get through the last scene. I would love to be a Washington leaker. I just can't do it. I can't give any more away. They've got great characters, but a couple of scenes towards the end were really hard to get through. I couldn't even get through the last scene." Now, is that because Buzz dies? That would be a pretty good reason for why he couldn't even do the last scene. What do you think? Next up, number 4 now, we have Real Mutants. For a children's movie, those mutants in the first Toy Story were pretty creepy, I won't lie. Some of you may have found comfort in the fact that those creatures don't exist in real life, obviously, and that they only exist in the movie. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but that's not entirely true. In the early 90s, the Unknown Museum in Marin, California, featured a host of mutant toys as part of their exhibition. It just so happened that this exhibition was seen by the Toy Story animators. They were inspired by what they saw and created their own ones in real life, which in turn will go on to inspire their designs for the mutant toys in Toy Story. That means that somewhere out there, tucked away in a dark and dusty box, those mutant toys may really exist, waiting and waiting. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Woody's girlfriend. This one may only be scary to those of you who believe in the true love of Woody and Bo Peep. It was actually a pretty close call. It almost didn't happen. When Pixar first wrote Toy Story, they didn't want Bo Peep to be Woody's girlfriend. They actually wanted it to be Barbie. I know. Can you imagine? Woody and Barbie. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you see it, Mattel, the owners of Barbie, didn't have much faith in Toy Story, and so they didn't give permission for her to be used in the first movie. For many Toy Story fans, this was a very close call, and a scary one to think that Woody and Barbie were very close to being an item.